Hey, everybody. I hit the wrong button. I haven't done this in a long time. So sorry, Tim. For some reason, it's got this top one on here. This is the one that we needed to play. That's better. That's the one we were looking for. All right. See, you can see the microphone in there. That's fine. I don't care. Doing it from my home today. I don't have any guests. Blake is busy doing things in the DMV. I got to go first. We're going to talk some Azuki today, as long as some ETFs. But this is the jacket they gave me. I don't wear it. One, it's summer. So I'm going to take this thing off really soon because it's hotter than Hades. I keep my house warm. Well, my wife keeps my house warm. I'd like it like 67 if I could. But so since we're talking Azukis, I'll just kind of give a overview. I mean, it's a nice jacket. The jacket's nice. It's reversible too, but not my style. Not me. They're cool. I'll probably hang it on the wall in my new office when it gets built out. Chris. When? Anyways, the reason we want to talk Azukis is because we had a bit of a debacle in the Azuki world. I guess we should talk about, what it is that Azukis are, right? Azukis, they're a PFP project, right? They're just a profile picture. They're a lot more than that. They've created a bunch of different protocols in the... that didn't work. Got to get my stuff back. I'll get it back for you. But they've created some different protocols. The most recent one, I think, it was a physical NFT. Basically, it had a QR code type of tracker that you could put onto a physical NFT and put it onto the blockchain. Not 100% exactly sure the name of it. I forget. I think it's PBT was the token. But anyways, they're doing other things. I liked their art. That's how I got into it in the first place. Was the story is my son was helping me find different PFP projects. He really likes the anime side of things, and we were looking through and we found Azuki's. The mint was, this was before they actually even announced the mint. And then I heard of it through Nansen Alpha. They talked about it. I did not mint any. I bought a bunch after the fact, and I sold a bunch, and I've held two for a long time. So that's kind of where they're at. They recently had a drop. Well, it wasn't a drop. It was a mint. So they were coming out with what you see on the screen here is elementals. There's a lot of theory behind what they were going to be. There's earth, wind, fire, water was the four elements, and they were all supposed to have some aspect of these within them. A lot of people were talking about different things like they're going to be a part of this anime series that they were going to bring out. A bunch of different things. So they gave the mint out to the Azuki holders. I'm going to get comments going here. Okay, so I can see it. So they gave the mint out to Azuki holders first. So you were able to mint, and the mint was 2 ETH, I believe. And then beans were able to go in after that. There was 20,000 total that could be minted. And then it was going to go to the public. If it didn't get minted out, it got minted out slow or soon after it opened up to the beans holders, which essentially basically created $40 million for the Azuki team in a matter of like 12 minutes, 13 minutes, pretty quick. Now, the problem with it is let me open up OpenSea here, because it basically looked like they just took their old art and stuck it into an NFT or a AI generator and said, make these look a little bit different. Add an element of earth, wind, fire, water, and lo and behold, and make me 20,000 of them. I mean, and that's essentially what it looks like. It just looks like Azuki. So a couple of big issues there. One is they talked about wanting to grow grow the ecosystem itself and allowing new people to come in. I mean, one, making the mint at 2 ETH really limits the amount of people that actually can be a part of the Azuki field. Two, it's a lot of money just to mint it. And then it was only allowed for current holders. So what a current holder is going to do, they're going to hold, right? And they might sell it to some people and expand it out. But I think the Azukis themselves, they only have 4,400 unique holders. So on average, it's less than, there's 10,000 of them. So you do the math. I don't want to do the math. Let's see here. It's not opening up for me here. Let me stop this screen real quick and I'll open up a different one. Because I want to share my window here. There we go. If OpenSea ever works, which it doesn't seem to ever want to, but regardless, once it does, we'll look into it. So ultimately, the next thing that was a disappointment was that the art was the exact same as the original Azuki art. There was nothing really different about it. There was no different use case for them. It just seems like it was diluting the entirety of all of the Azukis that were out there. So for me personally, like, I don't do anything with it. I might use it as a PFP. I think in my Discords, I use it as a PFP. My Twitter handles a Jonesy artwork. So they were just another project that's out there. And to be honest, now that they've gone this route, it really makes it look like, all these PFPs are doing the same thing and just trying to suck money out of the system, right? You have high hopes for some that are going to actually do something. None of them are doing anything. It's unfortunate, but people make money off of it, whatever way you want to go. So this isn't opening up, so we're going to move on and talk about some other things like ETFs. ETFs are all the news these days. Once BlackRock dropped the news that they were applying for a Bitcoin ETF, a spot Bitcoin ETF. I think that was last week or the week before. I don't know. My days are running together. They ultimately, they don't lose. Like, I think there was some statistic I heard on a couple different podcasts of like they've lost 1 out of like 400 applications or 300 applications. So they have a pretty good record. Now on the reverse side, Bitcoin has a pretty good record for getting their ETFs denied. There was a few factors that were fleshed out that people pointed out that make this. I'm not going to go into those details because, well, honestly, I don't know them as good as other people. I'll pin some podcasts with some much smarter people in there, but they did their due diligence, and there's a much higher likelihood that this ETF will go through. It's not a guarantee. I think people are putting it anywhere between 30 and 60% likelihood that it will, which is great. I mean, that's much higher than we've seen in the past with these. So, I think the biggest thing for me with the Bitcoin ETF, and this is going to go against all Bitcoin maxis. I am not a Bitcoin maxi. I love Bitcoin. I love what it stands for, what the idea of it is, what it can do for people, what it can do for their, the power of money, the power of assets, being responsible for your own money. It's great. So I just have a blank chart up here so you guys can see that. I'm going to pull another one up too. Hold on. This one I'll make a little bit better, but so this is the one that I've been using for a long time, and it has my big green box there, just kind of waiting in the wings. So a question was asked in the Discord about the Bitcoin ETFs. I'm going to pull it up and so I can read it verbatim. So sorry. Yeah, Doc has a good suggestion for renaming the stream: ETFs and WTFs. Azuki fails. Need to hire him on as my full-time marketer. I don't do a good enough job. I just do these because I enjoy talking about stuff. And honestly, I like sitting down with people and talking with them. But I've been very busy with family stuff and other things and haven't really scheduled anybody to come in and sit down and talk. So where did you put that? Was it? Too many channels in here. It's hard for me to find it. Anyways, the gist of it was, were we looking to see, is the Bitcoin ETFs sell the news or buy the news, sell the news, whatever how the hell that goes, is we have the Bitcoin ETF. Is it actually going to bring the people in, or is it all of the big people are already in, and this is just kind of a sell the news event, right? Well, first, I don't think all the big people are in. I think the players that understand crypto, understand Bitcoin, are possibly in. I would agree with that. Like the ability that they are, they're the front runners. They're the ones that have been behind it. And Fidelity is one of those, right? Fidelity, I think, either owns miners or mining companies or parts of mining companies. They offer Bitcoin right now, like RIAs that offer Fidelity. They can actually offer physical Bitcoin that they custody to their clients, which is a big deal. So why is an ETF a big deal? An ETF is a big deal because you have the ability for these RIAs, registered investment advisors, family offices, any kind of an investment firm can now utilize an ETF for their retirement plans. And notoriously, these people, when I talk about these people, I'm talking about investment advisors that are in there to manage your money. They, much to everybody's, surprises, they're not in there constantly trading your assets, looking at, should I get in? Should I get out? What's oil look like? What's happening over here? They're not doing that. They are selecting certain indices and specifically ETFs and funds for sectors. So they might have the green energy sector, or they might have an oil sector, or renewable resources, or whatever, certain commodities, S&P 500s, right? And they're going to be in these funds that essentially are managed by these other people to mirror the investment side that they're looking for. So, and with the Bitcoin ETF, the underlying company has to hold the physical Bitcoin of the spot Bitcoin. So this isn't a futures contract where you're betting on the future price of it. This is where they would have to hold the physical spot Bitcoin. Now, the actual application, I think, was a trust, but the way the trust is operated, it's a certain type of trust. And again, it operates more like an ETF, or exactly like an ETF, not like the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. So the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust can't be put onto a lot of these funds, like retirement plans, or sorry, the ETF can't put into these retirement plans. GBTC can't, but the ETF can. So what does that mean, right? Right now you have, just in the U.S. alone, in retirement accounts, is 37 trillion as of 2020. When I was looking up statistics, 37 trillion is a lot of money. And when you look at the amount of allocation that's out there, there's a lot of people that aren't doing what some investment advisors are, which they've basically gone above and beyond to get their clients exposure to crypto, or those clients have done it on their own, and they've, opened up a Coinbase account or a Kraken account and they've bought their own. They still have millions or billions and trillions of dollars sitting in these accounts that aren't being allocated a certain amount to crypto. We started to see this the sentiment start to move the other way. And I think it was Fed chair just came out and said that he sees crypto staying, right? It's viable and stable, right on the heels of all these spot ETFs coming out. So it's all narrative. It's all running the way they want it to. And this allows these retirement funds to allocate to that. If they just allocate a certain, small amount to that, what does that look like? It doesn't have to be more than 1% on average across the board, and it becomes a lot of money. So I need to try something here real quick. Let me know if you can hear this. Can you guys hear that? Let me know if you can. I know Chemical's listening, but we got a little delay. So if you can hear it, just type in there that you could hear it. It's just something funny. I'm doing it specifically for a friend of mine. It was over a trip, and decided that it might just be kind of hilarious to drop that in every once in a while. So anyways, so back to the ETF. So what we're looking at is we have $37 trillion with small, tiny percentage, not even a percentage, like a percentage of a percentage of a percentage has some sort of allocation to crypto, most likely. So this ETF allows all of this money to have some sort of allocation. I think it was in 2018, there was a Harvard paper that talked about investments in crypto and what a proper allocation should look like. And I believe in there, it was, they partitioned it out into certain types of investors. You had your long-term, your midterm, and your short-term. And even in short term, which is usually your people that are within 10 years of retiring, I believe, they had it at a 1 to 3% to Bitcoin or to crypto or your large caps, Bitcoin, Ethereum. They had a couple other ones at the time, but mainly they focused on Bitcoin. And so if you just look at that alone, a 1 to 3% on a 37 trillion, that's just the retirement accounts. That's not including individual IRAs, which is another large amount. There's so much more money that can come into this, and if it does get accepted, it's a big deal. I saved something. I wonder if I saved it in my phone, because it was an interesting. Let me see if I can find that and post it up here, because it was kind of the timeline of this, the ETF itself. There it is. Let me see if I can get this up on stream here. I'm going to post it just in the general. So we have a timeline. So right now they've just put in the app. They put in an application for it, and I believe there's a 45-day. Okay, Doc didn't see or hear anything. Let me go general. There it is. I put that in the wrong one, but that's okay. Open in the browser. Here we go. So you guys should be able to see that now. So here's this timeline. When we look at this, they can extend it out if it gets denied or approved or extended or whatnot. So clock starts here June 28th. So we got till August 12th, which is the first approval or denial. We'll hear something before then. I heard something about 45 days, which I think that actually puts it at August 12th. That's the August 12th timeframe. So my personal opinion is, if it won't get denied, because they always will extend it. They'll pull it or do whatever they do beforehand. Most likely it won't get denied, just because they'll adjust it from there. My guess is that it will get pushed out to the 90 days if it doesn't get approved by the 45 days. Now, the more it gets extended, the less likely, in my opinion, that it actually will get approved, because I just feel like, this is, again, my personal opinion, that they've done a whole lot more due diligence in what the SEC is looking for in order to approve this. Because we've seen a lot get denied over the years, that they at least have some idea of why it's getting denied, so they can actually get it put together so they have something there. I know they were using, they're going to use the NASDAQ. I think they're using Coinbase as their custody, or Coinbase Commerce as their custodial, which is another interesting side, route that goes with this, with the whole Coinbase lawsuit with the SEC, and then BlackRock is going to be using them for their ETF. I don't know. Interesting stuff. But what does this pertain to, right? You got a lot of money coming in, potentially, if this gets approved. I don't even think it's potentially. There's going to be a lot of money that comes in. I mean, I bet a lot of money that there's a lot of money that's going to come in, because, again, you have these retirement accounts that, and I know I've talked to RIAs. I have a friend of mine who, he has a really good friend who's an RIA up in the state of Washington, who created his own DAO specifically for registered investment advisors to understand crypto, to understand how to offer it to their clients. But it's still a very cumbersome and roundabout way to get it to their clients. You're really good registered investment advisors, they'll do it because they have to put in the time. The majority of your investment advisors out there, they're just going to pick you a fund. You go in there and you say, I'm going to retire in 30 years. Yep. And it's going to give you a timeline, and it's going to say, well, do you like to be aggressive, conservative, whatever it is? And it's going to say, well, here's what we like you. Here's what we're going to put you in. And guess what? That's what you're in for the next 30 years. Now, internally, they have people, the investment advisor doesn't, but that company that they put this fund of funds in, they have people that are going to, sort it out and trade things and adjust things. But in all reality, it takes a lot of time for those to get there. So having this available to investment advisors and these funds of funds, you're going to start to see this allocation start to grow immediately upon this being available to people. So you will see money coming in. It may not be right away. Even if it gets approved in the 45 days, it's still going to take some time before you start to see these investment advisors really start to flood it in, which, and funny enough, lines up with your, the charts themselves, the technical analysis of where we're at in the current cycle. So what is the purpose of the multiple ETFs for the same asset? And that's a good question. So question is, what is the purpose of multiple ETFs for the same asset? What can each ETF do as a differentiator and get more money going to them instead of others? You're going to have ones that are going to stand out, that are going to be the ETFs that people go to. And a spot ETF is a spot ETF, right? They're gonna own Bitcoin, depending on how much they have internally within that asset. So that's pretty straightforward. Everybody wants to offer it because they want to have that ability to collect that management fee. So people like BlackRock, they already have their internal clients. They know they can collect that management fee from it. Fidelity, all these people, they already have trillions of dollars that they can then push people into it to collect that fee from it. And most likely, being it probably in the risky factor, it'll probably have a higher management fee. So that's why I think you're going to have multiples, but because everybody's trying to capture that management fee money. At least that's my guess. Again, from my little bit of knowledge that I have on that side of things. So I got a lot of pretty lines on here. We saw, actually, I'm going to probably take these lines off because we've kind of pushed up past these, and I haven't looked at my favorite Mr. Ichimoku in a little while on the weekly. So sitting right at the bottom of the cloud in the weekly, the beautiful TK cross. So your baseline and conversion line crossing. If we zoom in there, you can see we just crossed it after that last little bit here. This is phenomenal. Plus, it's trading above the TK or the baseline and the conversion line, or the Tenkin and the Kijun, depending on what language we want to use here. So on the weekly side of things, it's looking really strong for this being this section down here being the bottom, right? Being that local bottom. Seeing us move above the baseline and the conversion line, moving up to the cloud itself. Our next move is going to be into the cloud and through the cloud. You can see the last time we were here was 2018 to 19. We moved up to the cloud, traded in the cloud, and then we had COVID, and then we had out of the cloud. I always, still look at the fact that this should be moved as a factor of probably however long that would be before we started trading back to ground zero. So 77 days, what is that? 3.5 months? No, not 3.5 months. Sorry, 2.5 months. 2.5 months. So 2.5 months shorter in the scale of the pattern itself of what we're doing. So for me, this just looks like this is the bottom. It would take a lot, and we've seen so much bad news that's come out. It would take a lot for this to push this lower than that bottom that was there, meaning the 16K. So I'm pretty excited. Excited that we have a bull run. It's not going to be, still we got a year and a half until we start seeing, this type of bull run, right? We've got some time until we get there. It's not tomorrow, but this is dip buying season. In my opinion, this is time to start getting allocated, pushed into assets that you like, that you feel like you want to hold for that time frame. I think there's a lot of depreciated assets out there all along the board here. Current holdings. These aren't my current holdings. I just have that label as that. So everybody's going to ask for Gala. It's like a Gala because everybody's probably a holder at some level, or might want to be again. Honestly, it looks like garbage. This pump and literal dump after that is, this follows the same line, and this somehow was a manipulated pump. Just looks weird. And then just continued downward. Not pretty. Again, this is on the weekly though. We want to see this. This is the conversion line. This is the baseline. We want to see these flip-flopped. So you want to see the blue above the red, just like we saw in Bitcoin where it was flipped. You want to see this moving upwards. Well, you want to see them both moving upwards, but this one is a longer term EMA essentially. So realistically, maybe if it is the Bitcoin bottom, then this is probably the bottom for Gala. I'd venture to guess that it probably is. This would probably be a decent area to get back in. Maybe I'd have to look on lower time frames. Not a huge fan of trying to catch these knives in here. I kind of want to wait for a pattern for to move it back the other way. So, and again, the daily doesn't look great. It's bouncing off of the conversion line here, so it's not really bouncing either. So we'll see. Don't like Gala. One of the things though, I was talking to Cesar Tiberius I was over on a little vacation with him and his family a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about looks. And for a company that they're just adding features all the time to their product, and it is just down. It's just continually down when it actually has, some use case for the token internally with trading value and everything else like that. It just doesn't have any volume at all. Like the volume that goes through Looks Rare is pretty piss poor. Is that going to change in the future? I would imagine so. I think they have a good platform. I think they have a good reasoning for people to go there and trade. It works well. I like their interfaces. So it's nice. So I just got a text from Cesar Tiberius. He's excited that he's famous now. So I said, yep, all three of the viewers are going to be looking out for who you are, that guy. But I still like Looks Rare. They're offering, let's see here. What's their percentage of rewards right now. 22.8% APY. If that's a looks, and that's the compounder basically, so it's automatically adding you into the pool every time. All the rewards that go out daily, I believe. It's been so long since I've looked at it, but looking at the chart again, I like to go in higher time frames. The safe bet is to wait and see for some sort of trend reversal, because the trend right now is down. This one, looks didn't even have a very good bounce back when the other alts kind of started to bounce. I would look at this though, a nice descending triangle on the weekly time frames. So seeing where that can go, and the safe bet, like I said, would be to wait for a confirmation on this move, of this making a different trend. So the break of this downward trend line. So I would wait and see that. I mean, and then if we follow anything here with the same pattern here, you're going to look at, that 8 cents, 9 cent range, looking at it kind of come through there and do some sort of confirmation and retest. And I would look at something like that as being a good option. I'm going to take a look at the 50-day, 200-day. I think that's what I have on there. Let's check. Yeah, 50-day, 200-day. Oops, just took it off. What am I doing? There we go. Get that back. So this is another way you can look at the safe bet too. This is just riding under the 50-day. It had a little move up here, which you could have traded, pushed it down. This would coincide with this downward trend, as of this trend line and the 50-day are kind of coming here. It's the golden cross and any other when the 50 and the 200 cross, so you can kind of see any kind of move upwards, and in a kind of consolidation in this range would be nice, and then a move above. So I'm not diving into it yet. I may start to allocate some. I was a little disappointed that I didn't get into it the other day when we were talking about it, but just might be a little early so far for some of these things. I think Bitcoin and ETH are going to lead the charge. Seeing as this is the ability for a lot of money to come into play, that money's not going to turn around and go into altcoins, right? That money is going to go into Bitcoin. It's going to stay into Bitcoin. These aren't people going to Coinbase. This is registered investment advisors. These are investment firms that are taking their clients' money and putting it into a Bitcoin ETF, just Bitcoin. So that's a lot of money going to Bitcoin. It's not like traditionally where we had this rotation of, Bitcoin, people would invest in the Bitcoin, it would go up, they would kind of take their Bitcoin out, put it into some of your mids. At the time it was like your ETH, your XRPs, that kind of thing, and watch those run. And then potentially some degen plays on, your very low market cap altcoins, and then rotate back the other way. So people think that might happen here. I don't see that as a real option in the short term to midterm. I think you see Bitcoin and Ethereum probably be the big runners in overall terms of movement. So, and the other one that's out there too is ETH getting its own ETF. So there might have been a couple people talking about it, but the idea that might be a rotation that you could do is if we see that happen where Bitcoin ETFs get accepted, you start to see money flowing into Bitcoin. Bitcoin moves in that positive direction, outperforming everything else. And then you start to hear the rumblings of an ETH ETF. Then you can start to see that play of potentially getting into ETH, rotate out of Bitcoin into ETH as it starts to get ramped up and people get excited for that too. So that could be a play. And yes, because I know people are going to ask, I do think that your shit coins, for lack of a better word, because everything other than Bitcoin and Ethereum are pretty much shitcoins. They'll have their day, just like everything else. There's still going to be a market. There's still going to be, now some might say they might even have a more of a move, because a lot of this liquidity in that people are going into Bitcoin, when it comes back out, there's going to be such low liquidity in those coins that it could move them up quite a bit. But that's after they haven't moved for so long. It's people might get in too early, try to trade them too early, lose money, get out, and then they run. So I'd be very cautious and wary of that, and just watching where those go. So I think that's all I got for today, guys. I'm going to try and get on these a little bit more often, talk about some things, and get a little bit more organized. So where people are looking for seeing where everybody's being at and typing, so we can see questions. Like I was not seeing Doc's questions in the beginning because I was looking at my stream for StreamYard. So, but either way, we'll get it figured out. I'd like to make it a little more consistent. So thanks for joining me, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Thank you.